Gonna find her. Gonna find her.
Chapter 13. The Confession. At the flat. What I do not understand, said Sherlock. I can't deduce what is happening. John sighed and ran a hand through his sandy hair. I can't even understand what they're saying, Sherlock. This has gone on far too long. Sherlock nodded and tightened his scarf a bit. It was silent in the flat for a while as both parties stared each other down. Sherlock's twisted, squinty brown ones into Sherlock's own bright blue ones. Sherlock, what is happening? Said John. I don't know, said Sherlock. I love you, John. I love you too, said John. Wow, they really are nothing like us, said Sherlock. It's fascinating. Yeah, nothing like us, said John with a hint of sadness in his voice. Then he reached into the pocket of his jeans and pulled out a gun. Right, down to business. What are you future selves? Said Sherlock. No, we aren't, John sighed. But too we touched the skull, said John. Oh, you guys think that touching the skull makes you travel in time? Of course it doesn't. Why would it do that? Well, we thought, said Sherlock. No, what it does do is make clones. Clones? Said John. Yeah, sure. Anyways, every time someone touches the skull, it creates a new clone. Each clone is further separated from the original. You two are the last ones of the batch. I initially discovered you doppelgangers after hearing that I arrested Anderson because he is a douche. While Anderson does have a jerkish nature, I have never arrested him, and after running into the real one, never having been arrested, I assumed that we had clones running around. What I never suspected is that there were also clones of Mycroft, Lestrade, Mrs. Hudson, and even Molly, said Sherlock. We had to get rid of them eventually, so we hired assassins to kill them off, but more kept coming, and we were having a hard time keeping track. That's when Sammy came in, said John. With those words, out stepped something from the shadows. It walked on all four, and carved long scratches in the floor with each swipe of its long, slender hands. From its vaguely human arms, bones screamed out from thinly veiled skin. Its skin... Oh, God! Its skin! Pale and impossibly smooth, it stretched over each fragile bone and organ like latex over a ballon. A long, thin tongue swathed forward from its mouth and dripped across the floor with a hiss. And from beneath its long hair, two pupilless red eyes glared out. Meet Sammy, said Sherlock. She followed you around everywhere and then recorded your every action in an online diary. By reading it, we could figure out where you were at all times. John patted her gently on the head, and Sammy hissed in return. She whispered in a crooked alien voice that chilled like ice. Hello, boys! John then walked over to the shelf and gripped the skull tight with one definite hand. He glanced over at Sherlock, who nodded in agreement. No, said Sherlock. No, said John, and then John smashed the skull on the ground. Chapter 14. The Flowers in a Box. John awoke to the sound of paper fluttering. His head was still spinning from the remnants of the nightmare that plagued him that night. He had been slumped in the armchair. John rubbed his neck. From somewhere behind him, Sherlock murmured, "You fell asleep." John looked behind him to find Sherlock sitting at the desk. "I had the weirdest dream," John said.
Your skull?
It could do this stuff. He found himself grasping to remember. "A package came for you in the mail," Sherlock said, without looking up from the case file. John noted the two nicotine patches on his arm before getting up. "Guess the Charovsky murders aren't a three-patch problem yet," H thought. The box was sitting on the floor. John knelt down and thrust open the tape. He unfolded the brown cardboard to reveal flowers? A box of flowers. That's a new one. The army doctor then swept the flowers aside to find a manuscript hidden beneath. It was dirty and rugged up. with a lazy sketch of a skull on the front and just a hint of a tongue print beneath. Flowers in a Box by Sam Licker 113. John's eyes drifted to the skull on the shelf as he flipped to the first page. And as he read on and on for the next hour, the skull still stayed there watching. 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 Bang. Author's note. So yeah, guys, I suppose this is the end. It's been a fun ride. Tumblr. Tumblr.penworthy.com. Remove spaces. Love, Macy.
You know I'll bring her in something.